All right, so this is probably not ideal and not the way I wanted to do, because before showing you the car and all the specs and all the stuff, I wanted to free all of this space and bring the car at least outside, or maybe in the middle of the workshop with a good lighting and all that stuff. But we have a few cars that are stuck in the workshop. Frog is still not moving for various reasons, because I don't have a parts to finish it off. I got another car outside, and well, Steve doesn't count because he's on the ramp. And the weather outside is fairly miserable. It's kind of raining all the time, so it's like no point. And the problem is, before I get back in the workshop, it's going to be another 4 or 5 days. So I figure, you know what, I'm going to do it now. Plus, I would like to take this as a good opportunity, because the car is still on the ramp, so I can show you everything from underneath as well, because it's only half of the stuff you can see from the top. So I think this could be like a good compromise. I'm not gonna start it now because the battery is disconnected, because I was tidying up all the electrics because they were a bit, you know, all over the place. And I'm gonna have to tidy them up and put a smaller battery, because the big battery is too big. There's no need for that. Half of that size, or even a quarter of that size, is plenty, is enough, and the weight kind of counts on here. So, all right, let's start me talking about what this is. This is Nissan Silvia S14, not S14A. So the body shape is the original. These are headlamps for the S14, and this is original. No, nothing changed, nothing. All the body, everything is original. Now, as you can see, we have wider fenders on the front. These are not fiberglass. This is original ones. I did a lot of work on them. I massaged them out. Hence, you can see the line with the bonnet doesn't line up completely, because the front comes out a little. To make this space, this is all proof out quite a lot. If you can see the space in here, you can put 3 fingers. This is about 2.5 inch out, and then it goes further out there. So I guess this is about 3.5 inches wider here, because obviously she's much wider. On the back, just universal fenders, you know, the ones you bolt on for 20 quid. They're very cheap. Well, back in the days they were more expensive, but this is what they are. Why? Because they're consumable. If you blow the tire or whatever, they just come off, don't destroy anything else. We made, obviously I made all, oh, I have to bring the light with me because you can't see it. However, well, later on, everything, the body has been obviously cutted here much higher to allow the tires to walk much higher, because the car is lowered. Now, just because the car is lowered doesn't mean it doesn't have a grip anymore, okay? Because usually people, what they do, especially for drifting, you lower the S chassis, you lose the roll center, you fuck up completely geometry on the back, and then they have no grip on the back. That's why they're so easy to drift, which is wrong, because for drifting efficiently you need grip, which at the beginning it was a big mistake from everyone. But let's not go into that. This is not a drift car, okay? This car was born as time attack project. Unfortunately, it wasn't completely finished, but we'll get to that in a second. Let me just go through the spec of the car and all that stuff. So like I said, everything is original panels. This is never been smashed, never been crashed, and all the stuff is all original. It's all glass, apart these ones, which now in time they crack, because I only use the cheap ones. This should be Lexan, and this is just the you know, not the Lexan, was the other one, the one that cracks. Obviously you can see, but this is like 5 minutes to remake them. I'm not gonna make them because I have to be honest, I just have no time. I'm mega busy, so fuck it. The glass on the back is not bonded. I don't do it. Neither back on the front. I'm gonna explain now. I got these fitments here. Yeah, I got to clean them still. Aluminium fittings. They bolt to the roof, and they keep the back window down. It is not in yet, because you can see the old gasket is peeling off, obviously in time. So I want to get out of a new gasket, new seals. I want to put it on and then put the glass on. I don't want to just do, you know, just bodge stuff together. I mean, you won't be able to see it, but I would know, and I don't want it. I want to do a proper job. I don't know what that stuff is. Probably fell from the roof. There you go. See my old sticker. Look, you can see how old this sticker is. You see it's losing the color as well. This is how long this car was here. Adjustments on the top of the coilovers, solid mounts on the bearings. These coilovers are AST 3 ways, not 2 ways, 3 ways. Again, time attack, this is proper stuff. They were mega expensive and they were prototype, so if you have to rebuild them or anything, AST, which is pretty local and is UK company, very good company. So rear lights, rear bumper lights, everything. Oh, apart this, everything works, all the lights and everything. The car actually has some I still have my old MOT. Okay, the car is still on Polish number plates. I did use it in UK. It is still registered in Poland, still has insurance and everything, and it did pass it MOT in UK because you can do it on the based on the chassis numbers, which is what we did, and no problems with that. MOT was with no faults because again, car is pretty much brand new. You know, there's no rust. This car never seen any rust. I can show you later on. It's like I can remove you £1,000 for every single spot of rust you can find because there's no any. It's just never seen any rust. The car was produced, it was built in Spain, then it was on assembly line. There was imported to Italy, where I bought it because I used to live in Italy. I'm the second owner, second or third, I think second, and I bought it at, I believe it was 54,000 kilometers, no miles, kilometers. And then I've done very little, really. The car's seen some rain in Italy when I bought it, probably twice. When it was all original, the way I bought it. Since then, obviously, when I took it back to UK, I did drive it to UK during the winter, so it did see some wet condition for the third time in his whole life. Since then, never seen any rain. And then what we did, we removed all the paint completely to the bare metal, and then we protected again and we sprayed again. The process of that was made to remove all the excess of weight because the original paints are very thick. So we removed it and we put on a better quality paint, better quality protection and paint, and we save a good few kilograms. I know this sounds mad, but when you build Canada cars and something that has to be as low weight as possible, you're trying to save every kilogram everywhere. It was mega expensive for shaving a few kilograms, but you know, this is how you make them. That's what I'm saying. This is not a drift car. You can use it for drifting. I mean, people confuse it all the time, and I don't know why. I did 2 drift events in this, and since then probably the car it looks like a drift car because I've done 2 events. But to be honest, you can drift everything. I can drift my van. It doesn't mean it's a drift car. You can drift a Formula 1 car if you want to. It's not a drift car. So let's get that out of the confusion. The bumper is again standard, but obviously I did cut it on the back here. When I'm gonna rise it up on the ramp, I'm gonna show you exactly what's what, what's not. There was a big diffuser on the back, it was sticking out here, and obviously I got the holes in the bumper here because the radio is in the back here. Again, I'll get to this in a minute. I got a couple of holes here because I had a wing on the back just to test it, and I didn't see much difference because the prototype flat floor and diffuser and a huge diffuser on the front I had, which is not here anymore because originally this engine, actually not this engine, this car had the engine in the middle. It was 50-50 weight distribution. I actually had about 350 kilograms each corner. This is how the car was born. I built it actually on the scales to have exactly 50-50 weight distribution, and I did achieve that with the, again, original SR20 put in the middle, and that frees all the space in the front. And I had this massive scoop which obviously use the downforce to push the car down, and it was absolutely incredible. The whole flat floor was built, everything, again, it was in experimental stages, it was in development, but it worked absolutely beautiful. The problem is something happened with the company I was working with and all the stuff. We finished the founds. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to finish the flat floor because again it was a prototype, so I made it in aluminium. The only thing that was left from is the side steps. You see the alley, which is they're very strong, but the downside they're heavy. So I removed everything. That's supposed to be rebuilt in sandwich plates, aluminium sandwich plates, or honeycomb. Probably honeycomb, because these days you can have a much cheaper big panels. They're not very that mega expensive like back in the days, so should be in honeycomb panels. But yeah, the flat floor has been removed, the front as well, because now we have the engine in the front, and the diffuser on the back has been removed as well. Unfortunately, that one has been broken because on the first day I took it drifting, I put the slicks on the back, and the guy who put the tires for me, I don't know, it was used for something, obviously normal cars or whatever, different sizes. I used to have it on 285 or 295, I think 285 slick, and not enough pressure. First corner sideways, the tire pop up, the one inside, and it popped inside the wheel and smashed obviously the diffuser. So I had to remove it. I never rebuilt it anyway, because the car was then back in the workshop, and then I started on my bullshit with changing the engine. She was perfectly fine with the SR20, then I went for the 1GZ, then I seen it was way too heavy, because he had the 1GZ with the R154 gearbox, which is really a Hilux gearbox. It's very heavy, and both engine and gearbox combo was just, you know, it ruined the car. It was still in the middle, but it was way heavy, because the car was just 1 ton with the SR20, 1,000 kilograms SR20 exactly, with all the metal panels. So that was incredible. So I didn't like it. I was like, no, fuck this, I'm doing something different. And then I was going for the V8 turbo, stay in the middle. I didn't have the time to do it because I was very busy with the business, which at the time I used to build the turbo systems, and then I started sponsoring drivers around the Europe. I had five drivers around the Europe those years driving for me. Well, not for me, but I used to sponsor them with my builds and the turbo systems, you know. Well, it depends. Sometimes I build the whole cars. Like I built a car for Martin, which is the R33, which wrongly Aero Kit put massive sticker on it, but I did build a car almost entirely. Martin did electrics and all that stuff, but all the rest is the whole chassis and everything was mine. I'm still using it, I think. Kevin Curtius, for example, I sponsor him with the full turbo system for his M50 engine and his E36. Very nice driver. I had a great pleasure to work with him, because he stuck to his promise and all that stuff, and it was great. However, this is not about my sponsorship and all that stuff. I went very busy and I had no time for the car. So as you know, probably if you didn't, the car was here for a long time, sitting in the corner there, crying for itself, no engine, just the best chassis, and I never found the time to do it. So, and eventually I was like, I'm sick of this, I have to spend some time on my car, and I had this 606, om606, sitting around, because I did put in the Jeep, but it was too aggressive, too much power, lag. It was just very aggressive engine at the end, 6,000 RPMs limiter, mechanical fuel pump and all that stuff. So I said, you know what, I have no use for this engine. I got a car with no engine inside, and back in the day I've kind of made a decision to sell it. So I said, well, if I have to sell it, it has to be something that is available or usable for almost everyone, you know, because it gives me more variety of someone who may be interested in it. And the problem is, in mid-time, they changed the regulations for drifting, because again, it's not a drift car, but unfortunately it had this name of being a drift car for some reason, maybe because of this couple of times I took a drifting. So I was like, okay, maybe someone in drifting is interested in some very, very competitive chassis. So I was like, well, let's do that. But the problem is they changed the regulations, and you couldn't move the bulkhead or the firewall anymore. So you were not allowed to move the engine back, and this was mid-engine. So it's like, okay, we have to put the firewall back in place and put the engine in the original position. And the spare engine, obviously, I had the Merck om606, which is now called by the internet the 2JZ over diesel. Rightfully, I can see why, because they're awesome. So what? Fuck it, put it on, let's see if it fits. And it did fit, barely, but it did fit. I had to modify the sump a little bit, shave the bottom of the sump tiny bit, to make it fit nicely inside the roll cage and all that stuff, but it does fit. I get to that in a moment. I'll show you everything. So that's the story of everything. Now the engine was fitted in very quickly. I didn't build a beautiful engine mods. Actually, they're very ugly, but they're strong. I mean, it's my stuff. It has to be functional, strong, and has to resist. It doesn't have to be beautiful. I was not doing it for the customer. That has to please the eye. It has to please the needs, not the eye. So it was thrown in easily, very quickly. I connected the engine with the radiator with the big rubber hoses made for trucks. Again, nothing special, just connect it quickly under the chassis, make them tight, make them clear from the ground, and make everything safe, and that's it. You know, very functional, no beauty spare on that one. So that side is very agriculture, if you want to call it this way. Fully functional, but not beautiful, like the rest of the car, the chassis and the roll cage and all the stuff. So, and this is, hence I call this car a Mad Max race car, because it's a fully blown race car, as a chassis and suspensions and arms and cage and all the stuff, but engine setup is fully mechanical. There's no a single electrical part. Well, glow plugs, starter motor, alternator, and a battery. That's it. But once you turn the engine on, you can even remove the battery, you can remove the alternator. It doesn't care. If it has a fuel, it will run. And power-wise, when I bought the fuel pump was bought from DP UK long time ago. They say the fuel pump is good for, I think it was 450, 500 brake, something like this. I don't want to lie to you because I can't remember exactly, but it was something along those lines. I have not set up the pump 100% correctly yet. It runs, it revs, and it is good. It clears the smoke, so it's good. I know it can take more fuel, so it can take more power, because we're running just below around 3 bar of boost, and there's no smoke whatsoever. It sounds like a 2GZ, like an angry 2GZ. It's incredible, and but it can take more fuel, quite a lot of more fuel, so it can make more power. 100%. Again, this has to be fine-tuned, but you have to take the car on the track. You can't do this on the road. You know, it's a bit too much. Which I didn't have the chance. I didn't have the occasion to take on the track. So, but you don't need a dyno for that. You just go on the road. As soon as it makes some smoke, that's enough. If it's too much, lower it down. Everything is made by screws on the pump. This is the beauty, it's all mechanical. So it's very simple to set up to your needs or whatever. So this is basically the story of the car, roughly. And now let's go and let's finish to show you the car. I haven't finished to tidy up completely. Like I said, I was supposed to do it this week, but this week was bloody horrendous. And then I was again busy and all that stuff, and I figured, you know what, the car is 90% clean. I only got a couple of things to finish it off. I can show you what the car is anyway, because it's not gonna change. So I'm doing this now anyway. Now we go for the front screen. Front screen is brand new because my old one was cracked, so I bought a brand new one. As you can see, it's not glued in yet, and I was making decision to if holding this in place like a back one for the on the mounts, 2 here and 2 here. You see the mounts are there, or just glue it in. And I think this one I'm gonna glue it in properly. The reason for that is because excuse me, the front screen was removable because my engine was sitting right there where the radio is supposed to be. I had a 4th cylinder, so obviously to get access to it, it was easy to remove the screen, remove the dash, which is removable by these springs, both sides, so quick release springs. There's 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Remove that, a plug from the dash, and you have the access to the engine bay, which was again very quickly removable on a quick releases. The engine is not there anymore, it's on the front, so there's no need to remove the screen anymore to service it or change the spark plugs or stuff like this. So there's no need for the screen to be removable. So I think I'm just gonna glue it in and get over with it. Inside, just as we're here, let's go through the roll cage. Roll cage is full Time Attack race spec roll cage. That piece is missing there because I had to rebuild the whole tunnel for that transmission. I'm gonna get to that in a second. The back one is there, As you can see, just the front part is missing. I should have the other part of this somewhere with the fitting for the seat. It just had to be shortened a little bit. I haven't done it. I can't remember why. Prick. The whole roll cage is not CDS. This is T45 or TIG welded, not MIG welded. So, and it's very, very spec. As you can see, the back is reinforced. I add the cross member to the subframe. I did add the cross member, as you can see there probably, or maybe from the top better, these ones here to the top mounts. Okay, I'm gonna open the bonnet and show you better in the meantime. So it's very extended, and again it's very light because this is T45, not CDS, and difference in weight is huge. In price also as well. They're very expensive, these ones, but it's worth it if you're doing racing. Now all the commands are there because again on my dash I wanted it to be removable, and I don't want it to remove all the electrics all the time. It has to be quick. Plus I find out this way is actually much better. I don't know, I just find it better. The only thing is missing is, as you can see, there was a hole here and there's like a pull for the extinguisher. There's extinguisher sticker there. You arm the system from this side, and then you got the starter engine there. This is the horn, and you got the fuel pump and all the crap over here, screen wash and everything, the fog lamps, because again this is fully functional, all the lights, everything works, although the whole electricity has been rebuilt from scratch. The whole panel is connected to the rest of the electrics. I mean, you know what, let me grab the light because you may not see everything, because I can tell you now the camera needs more lighting. That's inside there. I don't want you to not seeing what I'm trying to explain. All right, there you go. I think that's better. Let me just check. Yeah, that's better. So all this panel here is connected to the rest of the electric with these two plugs, okay, and everything is brand new. Now you got the extinguisher there, and you got the pipes going there all along, goes there to the legs. You see there's one there to the driver's legs. There's one missing on the T-junction. I have it somewhere probably, or maybe not, can't remember, but I think there is one nozzle is missing on the engine bay, because obviously it's a different engine, and I should have another two nozzles spraying on the exhaust manifold for the turbo, but they're missing. I don't know where I put them, but otherwise it's complete apart. Obviously the pull here, which again I have to put it back. The seat is brand new. Well, not brand new. He used only a few times, but obviously it's old now. You can see there, FIA Cobra with Driveworks logo on it, because I bought a lot of stuff from Driveworks. And that's it. All the electrics, yeah, this has to be resprayed, but it's all fully functional. I got all the stuff in there. Again, very dusty, but again, blow it, quick clean it, and everything works. Battery disconnect and all the stuff. This is the dash, which is again I'm in the process of cleaning, and that's all it is really. The fuel gauge and the temp gauge, and that's it. I'm gonna have to put a different temp gauge because I'm using a different sensor, but that's it. Handbrake, that little switch over there, which I removed now because I was working on a handbrake, as you can see. This little switch, what it is does, this disengage the rear lights when you're braking. Don't ask me why, you probably know. It is there. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it, but it is there. The handbrake itself is very simple, although I do feel a bit creative sometimes, and I do stuff like this. Now this is supposed to go in there, which go on a zip tie, but I can put in there. And to be honest, here you already lock the back wheels. I'm not kidding you. You can lock the back wheels with one finger. Now, if you want an explanation, this is a 1UZ piston with a side of 1UZ, which is V8 conrod, connected to M3 Evo forge. These are Ego conrods. IP bolts, if that matters. Again, welded together to another Evo M3 conrod. I had them spare, don't ask me why, I can't remember, but this is the handbrake, and it's absolutely beautiful. There's no rattle. This is proper precision, proper stuff, you know, never gonna get seized, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and it's mega strong. Now, why is it so strong? Because you see there's nothing special. The pump is om606, nothing special. Why you're saying you'll be able to lock the wheels backwards with one finger? Well, for a simple reason. And bear in mind, these are 275s by around 295s on the back, slicks or semi-slicks, but you have huge brakes on the back, and these are lovely. 4-pot big discs, and these are from the Audi. These are front brakes from the Audi S2, so really powerful, which you kind of need. Another thing, obviously you got the brake bias, so you can obviously adjust that for when it's wet, when it's dry, or you driving style, and etc, etc. Column is a standard one. I still got the key. The lock still works, I know. Some people argue that shouldn't be there. I like it to be there, so I left it. And obviously there's a quick release steering. I had the expensive one, the Sparkle one, but the Sparkle steering now is in the Frog, so I bought a cheaper version of these, but they're actually not too bad, doesn't bend. I'm surprised how good it is. I put it there and it's fine, but I'm not gonna tell you bullshit that this is Sparkle when it's not anymore. But it does the job exactly the same as a Sparkle, to be honest, because back in the day this Chinese stuff was wank, you know, you used to bend and all this stuff, but these days fair play, you know, credit to them. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's pretty actually good. It's nice and stiff. So I think we kind of covered the interiors on this side. Let's go to the back. Oh, look at that extinguisher is still full. Big boy, this is not a small one. Okay, so what should we cover inside from the other side? Let's go. There's so much to talk about this car. I'm not sure if my camera battery will be enough. Will we all be able to? Come on, you prick. Move. There you go. Before I get to the interiors completely, as I open the door, I'm gonna remind you, these are the spare doors. These are fully electric doors, windows working and everything. As a matter of fact, the switch is there. These are the switches for the electric windows. The reason why I put these windows on is because this was a wedding car. Because my missus said, you know what, instead of limousine, all this bullshit and all that stuff, let's do something in style, let's use a race car as a wedding car. And back in the day, this was fully functional still. It was completely road legal, full lights and all that stuff, had MOT, so full-blown race car, SR20. Was freshly built. It's like, you know what, why not? But obviously, wind, she was obviously beautiful, hair and all this stuff. She was like, well, we can't go with no windows because I get there, I'll be in pieces. So I was like, okay, let me get another pair of those, and I put them on, and they were green. So I quickly sprayed them with a rattle can outside. But if you see it, yeah, I'm an artist. They spray beautiful. I mean, there is literally no difference between what they do in the paint shop and my rattle can job. I'm not kidding, they're actually right, they're actually good. They're matte black, and outside they look very good. However, obviously they're heavy. The original doors, what I only have the skin left, the outer skin. Actually, they're quite floppy. When you close them, you have to close them from the bottom because they move. They offer no protection because of the roll cage, but they weigh absolutely nothing in comparison to the original one. So again, that means the car comes with two pair of those, full race ones, or these ones she can use on the road if you know, that crazy, or drift this, or whatever you're gonna use the car for. There's two pair of those. So that's covered before I forget about it. Okay, let's go forward, put the light on again. Let me grab the camera and the light in one hand, which is a bit tricky, but I can manage. Now this side of the car, as you have to clean it, you see so much dust everywhere. Clean that side, but not this side yet, underneath there, and here, and the seat, and below the roll cage. So, same stuff here on this side. See the same roll cage, T45, TIG welded. You can see there is a that nozzle here for the legs, for the extinguisher, quick release, the column. Yeah, I left the whole ignition, but there's no plug, there's nothing there. Now let's cover this stuff. This is different. Brakes, I still have the servo and all the stuff is there underneath of this plate. The floor is raised because the sitting position, so pretty much the floor for the legs is pretty much same height as you asked. This is a really proper raised position, okay? If you don't know that, I'm not gonna explain why and all the stuff. You can find lots of info on Google, internet, and all the stuff, do your own research, but this is how it works, and it works the best. Now, apart being still dirty on this side, because again I haven't cleaned it on this side, these are two pieces. This can be removed to access all the oils, that 4, the 5 for the clutch and for the brake servo. For the brakes, pedals are in themselves. Again, I like to do unusual stuff. On the column there is that rubber there, so you have to put it on in place, bolt it on. But again, 2 minutes job. When I'm gonna clean here, I'm supposed to done last week, but I haven't. So the pedals, I made this. I could buy just a pedal box and all the stuff, but it will be boring. It will be just like anyone else. It's like, you know what, I like the kind of Mad Max style, very rough but very nicely functional. So this, it looks strange maybe to someone, and I get that, but these are again V8 conrods and V8 pistons. They don't move, they are fixed in place. This is clutch, very soft, again very sensitive. Brakes again very sensitive, and obviously the gas pedal. Now for the gas pedal, I have to say maybe it's a little bit too heavy, maybe. That was my first sensation when I touched it, but to be honest, it took me 5 minutes to get used to it. So that's arguably good, but maybe not a great solution. I don't know, it suits me. After 5 minutes it suits me perfectly. But someone may argue like, yeah, I prefer it light, and I would say, just try it for 5-10 minutes, you get used to it, and you find out it's actually good. It's just different. That's why it feels weird. Other than that, these are very sensitive. You obviously, the car has huge brakes. I still have the servo, and it works brilliant. It goes very good. It gives you really great feedback. But the way I like the car is to be extremely sensitive to what I'm doing. I am driving with no shoes whatsoever, just socks, and I'm shitting you not, my brake pedal is nearly as soft as a gas pedal. Clutch also has to be soft as well. I don't want to waste any time in putting too much force on all the commands. Everything has to be sweet. Same for the handbrake. Everything is just, you have to be in your office and just walk the stuff around, not forcing stuff, not pushing too hard. Doesn't make you tired and everything. You can be there all day long, with no effort, and then all the effort goes into actually techniques and driving and all the stuff. This is my ideology, and I made the car this way, and I think it's good. When I used to be time at the cars, Evos, all the stuff, we done it for the customers, and they seems to be good with that ideology as well. Actually, they reported to be like, well, they was, fuck me, this car it feels like a different car, just because we changed the commands, the way it drives. So it works. What else? The gearbox is here, obviously all optional, 6-speed. We're gonna go underneath. We're gonna explain what the engine it is, what transmission it is, and all this stuff. So you're gonna have a proper clue. Okay, so the signs there, you can see Tergi Cristalli. These are wipers. I'm gonna change that because that's in Italian. Because again, I used to live in Italy and I used to speak Italian. Actually, not Polish. Yeah, it may come to your surprise, but that's true. I was born in Poland, but I grew up in Italy, and my first language I consider to be Italian, actually not Polish. I used to speak Polish worse than I actually used to don't speak Polish at all. At some point, nearly almost forgot it. But Italian perfectly, and my ride and everything was in Italian. That's why all of that was in Italian. So everything that works. Again, the battery, I'm gonna change it for a much smaller one because that thing can stand a truck. We need like a quarter of that, so it's gonna be much smaller. And obviously gonna put the dash back on because now it's there, but I want to clean it inside as well. And also I'm changing the, like I said, the the engine temp sensor, so I'm gonna put a different gauge as well, like an electronic one, you know. And I think that's it. This should be covered from the inside the cab. Oh, the harnesses. I have full set of harnesses. They're not in the car yet. I removed them because I have to be honest, the car was sitting there with no windows on and collecting tons of dust. I mean, it was for what, 7-8 years. So you can imagine the amount of dust. It was huge, and so I want to clean them properly before putting them on. You know, I don't want to sell the car with the filthy harnesses, especially because those harnesses are brand new. I use them twice only, so everything is new, and then they zip out. So it's good stuff. 5 points, not 4, proper stuff. What should we? Exactly. Yeah, the fender is missing on the side, but I got like 4 sets of them, so no problems there. Wheels. These are race 10.5 by 18 gram lights. I have the front ones as well, but I borrowed it to a friend of mine, which is supposed to bring them back. But the car now sits on these ones on the front, which are Rotas 9.5. So not as wide as on the back, which you may just use it, maybe just fine. I got a Toyo's wet set on the front and semi-wet slicks on the back, but I have 4 295s front and back because I used to, this car was set up for racing, square setup, 295s all around, and it was working perfectly on that. Before you start saying, oh, you can't drive it, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, it was perfect. The thing is, the good thing about this car is that you can, especially the front, or the back as well, you can set that for everything, for the small tires, for the bigger tires, for track, for drifting, for hair clamp, for anything you want. And because there's so much variety of settings, you can actually move the subframe forward and back a little bit. Now it's move forward, back a little because of the engine sound position and all that stuff, but the settings are unlimited. Plus the suspension still has the coilovers, again 3 ways. It's like you can play with that for weeks and still finding out it could be improved. Well, that should be covered. Let's cover the back first before we go on the front. Let me grab the light. Do you know what, let me just put the camera here for a sec because I need 2 hands to remove this. On the back I got 2 latches, so this one is nice and flush, and this one is the old school. I'm very sentimental, I love the old school ones, and that's why on the back are these, purely because I like the look of them. And on the front, exactly the same ones. I know sometimes I just like doing stuff because I like it, and no other reason. Let me remove the boot. Again, it's very light, there's nothing left but the skin. Let me put it probably there, in the middle of the scrapyard. Looks like a scrapyard, but it's not, it's all good stuff. But sooner or later I'm gonna have to remove it. Alright, so let me get you into the rear. On the rear, we can see again, very quick setup. Well, not really. The sweet pod, yes, we do have a diesel engine, but I'm still running a sweet pod because again, G cornering and all the stuff is very high, so you don't want to miss fuel when low on fuel or something like this. So sweet pod is there. We have the small fuel filter. There's another fuel filter on the front, and obviously there's a fuel filter in a tank. In a tank there's a small, there's an original pump which is there. All connected, blah blah, with the new lines as a pickup fuel pump. And for this engine, that's plenty. However, for over 550, 600 brakes, people use the Bosch 4.4, they raise the pressure for the fuel delivery to the mechanical pump. So that could be done later on if it's needed. If it's not needed, I'm not sure. I never found the need for it, but you know, maybe. Radiator. This is a Nissan Patrol huge radiator. This is bigger than the Supra one. And this is why I choose this one, because this engine again is a big 3-liter diesel, and when you're running 3 bar of boost, they do produce so much heat. So I wanted to oversize the radio on the back, so there's no problems with overheating and all this stuff. The way it's held, there is a solid mounts on the bottom, proper ones, and the top zip tie. Very simple. This is how you recognize it's a race car. Listen, there's no point to make anything fancy and all the stuff, and then it's difficult to change the setup. Simple zip tie. This goes nowhere. This cannot move, absolutely nowhere, because it has obviously proper mounts on the bottom. It's jammed here. Just keep it down with a zip tie, and all this force is needed to keep it everything in place. It will never move. Obviously, I did, well, not obviously, but I did rip a bit of wires here when I changed the setup with the fuel pump and I cut the flow out. So there is a wheeler left for a bigger pump, for the Bosch 044 pump, and pipe, well, wires are still there, so that's easy to connect. I think that's it from the back. Everything is pretty much gutted. What else? What else? I think we can go on the front of the car before we go to the bottom, and then you've got the car. So let me just put the camera here for a sec. Put the boot back on, and we go in the front for the engine compartment. Go on. There you go. I know a lot of people don't like these old ones, but I absolutely love them. It's kind of like old school stuff. It's just, I don't know, I just like that. Right, let's go to the front and see what we can find there. Oh, this one didn't crack. This one is one piece. Okay, all right. Let's move to the front. Before we open the bonnet, let me show you the front brakes. Again, they superficial rust as any brakes when they're not used. 8-pot D2s, very powerful, pretty great. I think these are 260s or 28. I can't remember the big, but I can't remember which one is exactly. Definitely is an 8-pot with the big discs. That's all you need to know. Alright, I know, but I don't remember which ones are exactly. I can tell you they don't go tired. The stopping force is immense. Okay, before I open the bonnet, there's another thing. There's a crash bar. Again, Mad Max style. I love it. Again, I've built a roll cage and all that stuff, and then I could make all of this beautiful, but I actually opted for chopping the pieces and welding back together. This is all T45, no CDS, very light. Very agricultural, because again, this is the style I wanted to use. It's not like I can't make something better. I've bloody hell, I've built the whole chassis, so I can make it beautiful, but I wanted to give a little bit of a raw construction. I don't know how you call it, just Mad Max style, you know what I mean? It's I don't know how to explain it, but I guess, or I hope you get it. Morkov huge oil cooler for the engine with the huge lines. Again, on the race mounts, zip ties, 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't go anywhere. Huge air filter, because obviously in the front we have nothing. Radiator is on the back, so on the front there's nothing here. Even if you have smoke rush or whatever, you can bump the guy in the front of you, whatever, there's nothing, there's no danger of smashing any lines and anything. There's nothing here, you know. You got the crash bar, behind the crash bar, then you got the lights, and you got the air filter, and the intake cooler is actually inside the chassis legs, very close to the engine, so very, very, very away from the front. So that's it, I think. Oh, you can see the bottom, but that's in the middle, in a moment. Let me open the boot, but I have to grab something, a piece of wood, because there's nothing to hold it up. Give me a sec. There we are. before we open it up, I want to show you how the turbo sticks out. This I need to shave a little bit more because it's touching on the silicone, and with the engine movement this will break. That's enough, definitely enough for the exhaust, if you can call it this way. This is enough unless you want to put a heat jacket, which I have it, but I don't know, I kind of like the rawness of this. But again, if the jacket has to be put on, this has to be larger. But again, another option. Let's open this up. Put this in. Haven't cleaned the inside yet, but I'm gonna put the light and I'll show you what's what. Again, grab the camera and the light in one hand while I'm just trying. Okay, hope that's okay. The air filter, I wanted to make a nice pipe here, aluminium pipe, but I found myself not having time, so fuck it, I found these joints. They actually work very good for this air filter. Just put the Jubilee clips here and everything is in place. 2 big waste gates, blah blah. Okay, so let's start from the beginning before I make a confusion. This is a Merc om606 engine. This is the original turbo one. You have 2 versions, the NA and turbo. NA is slightly weaker with the smaller rods and a couple of different things. This is the original, the turbo one, so the strongest one. Has a mechanical fuel pump and all the stuff. Again, I already talked about the fuel pump, so it's very simple. This is the pipe that goes to the radiator, one of them. The other one is down there. You can probably see it somehow, maybe from this angle there on the top of the alternator. Plenum has been modified. I used to have one EcoFlow plenum, and then I was supposed to rebuild it, and I went lazy and I just went for front-facing plenum, which is much better than original center fit on the bottom. I'm actually surprised how this old aluminium was very clean. You can see it's all dusty still here, so I have to clean it, finish the job and clean it properly. So you have to connect the lights. Again, the wiring, everything is there. I just have to remake these connectors and connect everything, make sure they all work, and etc, etc. But again, it's all road legal, everything works. The headlamps, high, low beams, the indicators, everything is in place. Original power steering, blah blah, obviously no icon. Turbo, this is an HX40 with the 3 to 4 inch adapter and 4 inch downpipe. Now, I had a lot of questions about the exhaust because people were concerned about track use and all the stuff. And before you ask, yes, there is a space to make 4 inch exhaust down the floor or back on the car. Look, plenty of space there, you see, from this side or that side. And before you ask why I haven't done it, because I have no time. It's very simple. This pipe was already made. This was a piece of downpipe, and when I turned it up, it was facing up, and I was like, you know what, if I chop at this angle, it should suit the bonnet perfectly. And it was exactly what I was thinking, and it is there. Intercooler is a big 3 inch one. It's enough. It's a big one, so why not? They didn't put it on, you see, all the pipes are painted, so you can tell it's a race engine because it's red. Of course, I've got the bolts there. Okay, now these are IST suspensions, like I say. Low speed, high speed, you can see there. Top mounts, fully adjustable. You can turn them up and down, and so you got all the adjustments, which in every way. Obviously, there's no adjustment on the bottom. Again, 3 ways. So they're extremely good. This is wasted for drifting. This is again time attack stack or grip racing, whatever you want to call it. You can see the roller cage was being extended here, and there was a mount here because I had a cross member there to the subframe, to the chassis legs when the engine was in the middle. But obviously now we have the engine in the front, which is more kind of legal for all the regulations for most of the races and drifting and all that stuff. So obviously it can participate in the bigger variety of competitions. What else in the front here? Oh yeah, the tubular exhaust manifold. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there. big 1.5-inch pipes, individuals, true twin scroll, proper twin scroll, with 2 ports for the wastegate and 2 separate wastegates. So this is a proper twin scroll T4 exhaust manifold with the HX40. It has an individual support for the turbo as well to make everything strong as you can get. Obviously tubed inside, because obviously the tires are huge, the car is lowered, so then obviously the tires, they need space to go inside here. A lot of people just chop them off and leave everything open. It is an option. I wanted to make everything nicer, so I made them up. And again, even this is TIG welded, not MIG welded, if you wanna ask. If you don't, whatever. This side here is chopped off because when I put this engine in, I needed that space, the little space for the wastegates, because they did not fit, and portion of the exhaust manifold. No, that tire doesn't catch. It still cleans, so that's fine. I have to say though, this engine was, let's call it, thrown in very quickly. I've done the job in 1 day because I was sick of this car sitting there with no engine. I had the spare engine. It's like, oh, just put it on and see how it goes. Engine mounts, I made them very quickly. They pretty ugly, but again, very strong. So is there, everything you need is there. But I'm not gonna lie to say, oh, I've done a beautiful job to put this engine in beautifully. No, it's in a beautiful position. Functionality is 100% what it should be. It's just engine mounts, they're not, as I would build them for a customer. It's just to see if this could make sense. It does. So now I wish I made them beautiful, but they're not. What else can be covered from the engine bay? I think that's it. It's very simple. Well, that's the beauty of it, There's nothing here. You got the engine, you got the fuel. Can you start it? Yes, then send it. Very simple. Very strong, very powerful. Tons of torque. People saying, oh, well, is a diesel in a race car? Well, you know what? This is YouTube. Tape, 2GSE, om606 or om606 competition or whatever, everything about om606. You realize why this engine is here, why these engines have this great reputation. People pushing, I think, over 700 or 650, 740, I can't remember. There was tons of experiments and people pushing these engines to very high levels and all that stuff, So there you go. Engine is great, simple as that. Top mounts, and well, that's been covered. Bonnet, yes, this is original bonnet, no plastic, and surprisingly, I'll really just have to, as you can see, I haven't finished it yet, only remove these ribs here to create a turbo, and these ribs are actually there. This rib, I removed it for the oil cap, and that's it. All the rest cleans surprisingly well. I was surprised myself. And this obviously the bonnet, we picked it up, Andrew picked it up for me a couple of weeks ago because she had no bonnet, because the original bonnet was just the skin, but it was very floppy, so fuck it. Either this or the fiberglass one. We find this one, I put this one on, and let me just close it quickly. And surprisingly, I say, okay, I'm gonna have to repaint it, but I'm not gonna paint it because I actually kind of like it red. Let me put the light down. I really like it red because obviously it matches with the interiors, with the engine bay, and obviously inside there is red as well. So I think this is actually very good. So I'll leave it like as it is. Bumper, there is no front bumper. I never had the front bumper. There was a couple of like aluminium pieces that covers each corner here, and this whole front was a big entrance for the massive scoop that goes out the bonnet. So the standard out the bonnet. So the standard bumper had no place, and I never had it. Or when I had it, well, the original one I threw it away. I can't remember what I've done with it. So obviously those corners, they would make no sense. I'm not gonna buy another bumper for 2 reasons. I can't be fucked. Second reason, I prefer the look of the car this way. It's more of a Mad Max style, which I really like. If you don't, then put the bumper on. And if you want to put the bumper on, then it's up to you which one to put on, standard one or fiberglass, on different styles, That's the beauty, I can put the bumper on and you're not gonna like it. And so I have to spend money on this when you can put whatever bumper suits you. And I think that's it for the exteriors. I think it's time to go underneath of the car and show the chassis. Before we show the chassis, the gearbox. The gearbox. This is 6-speed manual gearbox. Is from the C250 or 270 CDI. I can't remember which one exactly, but I think they're identical, very similar. Both of them say 6-speed. People saying, "Oh, does it hold the power?" It's like, well, of course it holds the power. Is there? It's a single mass conversion, so very clutch strong enough for this power. I had no problems, so I see why you shouldn't have any problems. Plus, if there is any problem, there's so many upgrades. It's like, I'm doing more power from this engine. I want a stronger clutch. I want a stronger gearbox if needs to be. Tons of stuff out there. I don't think it needs to be, but if it does, then that's an option. Loads of options. So I think I'm gonna change the battery in the camera because it's dying now. It's been an hour, and we go underneath of the car. I'm gonna show you suspension, chassis, all the stuff. So stay with me for a sec. Alright, so let's turn the lights on and see the car from underneath. You can see from the front the hubs, suspensions and all that stuff. Now these are Driveworks hubs, which they lower the car, and as you can see here, the arms, the roll center is still correct. I think they lower it by 40 or 45 mm on the front and 45, 50 on the back, or somewhere close to that. I can't remember exactly now, it was way too long ago. However, you can lower it quite a lot and still maintain the correct geometry, and that obviously translates into good grip, good corner grip and good acceleration grip. So that's how you're supposed to do it. Both sides, obviously. You can see the brakes from the back there. There's the other adjustment on the coilovers. I'll say 3 ways. You got one on the bottom here and 2 on the top. The arms, again, all Driveworks. These are pretty much new. You can even see from the boiners, there's no usage. It's like they nearly new. I've done a lot of experiments on them. I have to say, I did lots of adjustments. There's another adjustment here. Outside, I bring them out a little bit more, so widen the track of the car in the front without putting too much spaces, so it's not wank to drive, it's still good to drive. Coilover has been adapted to these hubs because again they're prototypes. As for the suspensions, my engine mounts, well, this one is very simple, very ugly but simple. This one is very, I don't think you can make an engine mount simpler than this. It is what it is. This wire here is for the RPMs gauge, which is not there because it's mechanical. You take it from the alternator, but I didn't connect it, couldn't be bothered. What else in the front? It's very simple here. The sample, like I said, this has to be modified. A little bit on the angle, I should chop this side a little bit less, so it could be nice and flush with the subframe, but it came up a little bit on the angle. It was a bit of my mistake, but what can you do? It's not really a big deal. It's 5 mm higher here than here. That's it. I'm not gonna lie, I've done a beautiful job because I could have done this slightly better, but it's good. The plane there obviously has been blanked. That was the entry for the obviously air intake. The fuel pump, yes, there is a bit of sweating of diesel from it. Again, it's mechanical pump, so you could kind of expect that a little bit. But again, this was there for the past 6, 7 or even more years, so that bit of sweat in all these years is nothing. It's like brand new. Okay, so let's go for the ugly stuff first, which is the missing of the flat floor. And like I said, the only thing left from the flat floor, which was the entire car, is just the sides, which they left on. Now, I didn't remove them. You can just get the bolts and remove them completely. I didn't remove them, but obviously the entire flat floor, the mounts and everything was keeping everything in place. Without the rest of the flat floor, and they had nothing to hold on, so I made just this aluminum plates quickly under the chassis using these bolts to keep everything up, and that's it. So that's, I don't know, You know, I would like to reproduce the flat floor on this car complete as it was. I don't want to remove this because I don't know, it kind of remembers me the way the car was. So I don't know, can be removed, can be left, can be reproduced, whatever. I don't know. I kind of ruined the car. I wish I kept the SR20 in and keep it for time and time. Sorry for that. Jesus, I nearly jumped. And it's my own compressor. You have a jacking points here, one here and one here, like on the rally race cars. They were to the chassis and the seat, so you can just insert the tube, jack them up, and put the triangles to keep them up. Like obviously, because again, it's a race car. Again, like look at this. Hold this to there. Don't spend time. Why? I'm very known for not spending time on stuff that doesn't require spending time just to please the eye. Who cares? I spend time on something that gives me performance. The way it looks, I don't care. Which matches perfect with the Mad Max style. Yeah, and then I spend some time on making the pedals out of the bloody V8 pistons and conrods. So kind of like stupid, right? It's like, well, no, that's a different point, you know. That's a bit of a, I don't know how you call it, but that's me. That's me. Whatever. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean. I guess. I hope so. Brakes, blah blah, all the stuff you've seen now already. Let's go in there before we run out of lights. Now these mounts here, I got them both sides. Here underneath of these pipes, these are the pipes for the cooling system. Blah blah. However, these mounts, they were mounts for the engine when it was in the original place, because SR20 was actually behind the steering rack. It was starting here. So you can see the difference. The old engine was from here to here, and the gearbox was there. Now everything is moved. You can see I made this, just what I mean quickly, and now, like when I put this transmission on this and prop shaft and everything, it still needs painting, protecting from, because obviously I said there's no rust, but then I made this and they're gonna start to rust if I don't protect them, so I'm gonna do it probably today or tomorrow. These mounts here, they were for the cross member for the old transmission, which again you can see the difference. Transmission was there and now it's here. Transmission now, before I get lost, has a new slave cylinder, got new clutch, new flywheel, new bloody everything. So in theory this car could actually be as it was, as awesome as it was. The engine and gearbox mounting place on the chassis are still there to make it as good as it was mid-engined. It could be actually, to tell you something, before this bulkhead and this engine was here, she had a V8 mid-engine, and there is a space to put a V8 turbo still mid-engine and still 50-50 weight distribution, which is bloody awesome. Now as I'm thinking about it, I don't want to sell this car anymore, so let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Now fuel tank is a standard fuel tank in a standard position. The reason for that is because this is the best position to put the fuel tank, low down on the back before the rear axle. Why would you put something different higher on the back? It will just, well, not destroy, it will make everything much worse, or the dynamics for the car much worse. So that's why it's there. Agricultural pipes for the radiator. You can see it from the bottom here. This is the mount, completely removable. Again, AST suspensions, 3 ways, both sides, very racy mount, zip tires. I need to touch, oh sorry, the lips for this. I cut them off recently and I have to protect this from rust and all the stuff. Now the subframe. Subframe is solid mounted with these aluminium blocks. No rubber, no poly bushing, is all solid, no movement whatsoever. Diff is a welded R33 diff with R33 drive shafts. Hubs, again, Driftworks hubs, lowering hubs, with the adapted, as you can see, big brakes. Like I say, Audi S2 front brakes on the back. No, sorry, what I'm talking about. These are Mitsubishi GTO calipers with the S2 Audi discs. That's what it is. I nearly forgot. Obviously all the arms, Driftworks apart that one, that is a job speed arm, because I remember that one top one suited the chassis slightly better. The chassis has been notched there a little bit here, that joining point, because the car is so low when this works, it goes up there. And I wanted to use this, oh I remember now, I wanted to use the job speed ones because they're very biffy on the top, and that's why I had to notch the chassis tiny bit, both sides. You see here and there, not much, just the seal, just the joining point, not actually in the chassis leg, just that to clear it for when the suspension will work. And that's it. All the arms are pretty much brand new, you know. They're dirty obviously, a lot of dust, but everything is new. What else? This bar here, this was, well, it's not needed anymore. If you see it from the bottom, I did bend it, to be honest, now lately, because I've jacked it up from the bottom here stupidly. You started from here. I put it on when the experimental flat floor was there, because this is completely flat with the rest of the chassis legs and the front of the stuff, and there were mounts here for the end of the flat floor. From here it started with the big diffuser, and it gets into this mounts. You see this plate here? This was this was done very quickly on the back of the car, because the flat floor and the diffuser were experimental, and once we've proven it works, I'm supposed to reproduce it and all the stuff, but obviously all the plan didn't go ahead. So actually the bird, I chopped it off recently, a couple of days ago, well, last week, because it was still here. It was just shaved and it was made horribly, because back in the day I just had to make a space for the diffuser just to put it on, and then like I say, if it works, we make it better, we make it good out of composite materials, not aluminium, because it's heavy. That we never had, so I just removed it and used the car a couple of times for drifting, just for fun, and so we never go ahead and finish it off the flat floor, which I'm gutted for that, but it happens what happens. Again, I don't want to tell any bullshit, you know. I want to be clear, crystalline. When I say there's no rust on this car, look at it. There's no bloody rust everywhere. There's no repairs or anything, you know. The front there, usually that is holes there. There's nothing. Look at it. It's all perfect. Chassis legs, fenders, everywhere you see, there's no rust. It's absolutely perfect. Everywhere. There's not a single spot of rust on this car. And never been. This car never seen any rain. You know, I don't want to brag about it, but I'm not sure how many S14s in these conditions are left on this planet. You know, because they've been used and abused and trashed and scrubbed and crushed, and there was a moment where they used to cost pennies, so people obviously abused them. And this car was never crushed, never had any rust, never seen any rain. It's not like, okay, you know, we repaired all the rust, so now it's in a good condition. No, this is original panels, original chassis, never seen any rust. Simple as that. You show me another one, I'm sure they exist somewhere. Fuck me. Only that is worth a lot of, you know, I was gonna say only that is worth a lot of money and all that stuff, and it's rare as fuck. It's a simple way to put it. You know, it is mega rare. I mean, these are the shit. I mean, you wanna argue about it? It's no. Just no. Look at it. We ran out of light. Let me just grab another one, because then you may think I'm talking bullshit. I turned the light off, so I don't want to show you the stuff, but. Again, this is kind of like a sell advert. I can't say a bullshit. I can't say there's no rust. Then someone arrives, he's like, oh, you told me there's no rust, there's full of rust, so why would I lie? Look at it. I'm proud of this thing. You see the jacking point even? You see it there? Goes to the chassis leg, to the shear, and then you can jack from here. Even now it's protected. There's no rust. Never been anywhere. Just no. And now as I'm thinking about it and talking about it, I really don't want to sell it anymore. But I've changed my mind on selling this car so many times that I cannot do it anymore. And to be honest, this time I'm not only kind of want to sell this car because I need the space, it's being not used, and I'd rather see this car being used for someone else than sitting here all his life. And I don't have much space for it. I'm sure in the workshop with Steve now is You can probably see from the audio videos how upset I am because we can't keep everything in place in order, because as soon as I tidy up the workshop, all we need is a week and we got more engines, more stuff, more parts, more scrap, and it's just, you can barely move, and it really upsets me. And I got big projects and I got big deals with these MR2s, and I need a space, I need a ramp, and I don't have a space to store this car. And I will not put it in some wonky garage with the dump and all the stuff, because again, this car deserves to be taken care of. And the other reason to sell it is because I want to invest that money. Instead of sitting there, I want to put it towards different stuff I have in my mind, and I think after over 10 years, I think this car has been with me. I have to look on the paperwork, but I think it's 10, 3, 11, I think 14 years, 13 or 14 years if I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, about a year, no more than that. So long time with me, and it was our wedding car. And I drove this car to UK, and it's a lot of sentiment goes into it. So for all this time, I was not able to sell it, and I was looking for the excuses not to sell it, but I just can't. I can't find these excuses anymore, and she has to go. And simple as that. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna cry when she goes, but she has to. It's a beautiful car, it's great, and everything was bought from my hands. I mean, no one gave me a single hand to this. Every single thing was handcrafted on this. Obviously, before it was more complicated with the flat floor. It was full time attack spec with the diffusers, massive downforce, SR20, all the electrics and all the stuff. It was beautiful. Now it's rough, with this rough Mad Max style engine, which I do like, because you combine the aggressiveness and rough style of this big diesel engine, very aggressive engine, which requires no electrics. If there is an apocalypse, which obviously not, but you know what I mean. There's a bird in the workshop. Okay, it's not the first time. With this post-apocalyptic engine, it's like EMP, whatever, it's not going to touch it. This will always run, no matter what. You know what I mean? You just send it. There's no problems, no issues, no mapping, no dynos, nothing. It's just, there's a fuel, send it. Beautiful. Combined with this very refined time attack spec chassis. Sure, you may argue that time attack cars these days are way more refined. They have all electronics. They have the brake, the air braking system is all controlled. Blah 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 blah. Yes. Obviously, this was built 10 years ago. So, and it wasn't actually finished completely, but the base is there. The base was there, and we find that sometimes when you keep things simple, actually sometimes works better than overcomplicated. So I love the combination of this engine actually with this chassis. As much as it may seems to be wrong on paper, it's just good, I think it's the strength of this is this weird, strange, but strong combination. It's like with the Frog. We put the 1.9 TDI and it was like, what are you talking about? Golf engine in a small sport car. It doesn't make sense. That engine with this car, diesel with this, it's like, don't. And yet, when we put it on, we test it, it's like, fuck me, this is good. You know what I mean? So, and so again, it's one of them. Now, I recently put a post on Facebook on how I'm gonna sell it, and if people thinking maybe doing sell it on a raffle, because this is what people do these days. It does actually make sense if people will be interested, and seems like loads of people were interested in it. So it's like kind of makes sense. And a few companies actually contacted me. They contacted me about they want the car to put on the raffles, all the stuff, because obviously the business and all the stuff. And I'm not really keen on collaborating and thinking with strange people and all that stuff. But there's one person who actually started the raffle company on his own, and me and Steve, we know this person very good. I don't know him person, like we're not going out on a dinner together and all that stuff, but I know him from Facebook and all that stuff for a long time now, and now he's a very genuine person, and his company, if he set it up, is genuine. So if I do the raffle, I already made my mind, I'm gonna go through him. But me and Steve, Steve said, he's like, you know what, before you go to raffle, just give someone a chance to buy it. Just leave it for a month. Put the advert there for 3-4 weeks. See what happens. Someone buys it. If you're not gonna find a buyer in that time, put it on a raffle. Nothing's been wasted. So, I think that's a good idea. I think that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna put it on for sale, and see what happens. Price, God, this is probably the most difficult part because, it's a beautiful chassis and all that stuff, but I don't want to be stupid. Like these people selling GTRs for 100 grand. It's like, shut up. Why? Usually I take less money than the car is worth for the simplicity of, there you go. When you come over, this is it. The value is much more for what you're paying. Shut the fuck up, take it, and be happy. Simple as that. It is definitely priced up because this is one of a kind. Is this chassis so clean, blah blah, the roll cage, the suspension and everything, and then with this engine combination, it's like you don't really have a base to price this up comparison to something else. But I've seen the price on this, like with few mods, they go between 15 and 18 and 25 and even 30. It's like, it's not really much in there, is it? But I spoke with few people and all that stuff, and I guess about 20 grand is something reasonable. Very, very reasonable. Like, very bloody reasonable. I'm sure it can be more if you wait, if I can just refine a couple of things, make it beautiful, but I'm not into that. I don't care. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna make it sweet and everything. This is beautiful because it's important. No, that's not beautiful because it's not important. It doesn't play any crucial role in the car. Anything that plays a crucial role in the chassis or functionality of the car is done properly. All the rest, who cares? I don't care. Simple. I don't feel if I can be more honest than that. I've shown everything. It's clean, crystalline clear. Spell it correctly. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. Again, I prefer to put it out there. We were planning to get it out, do a couple of burnouts, rolling burnout, whatever, just make a bit of a, action, because people love this noise and flames from exhaust and smoky tires. I know, but it's time, and I got so much on my head, and I'm not sure when I'm gonna find this time. So I've just made this video. I'm gonna attach maybe a piece of the video when we've done the burnout with this, when I put all the suspensions back together and all the stuff. I guess that's enough, maybe. I think that's it. I don't think I could be more honest than this, and I hope it goes in a good hands. I'm sure I'll be crying my tears out when it goes, but it has to go. It's been so many years. I was preparing myself for that decision to let it go, and I think it is time for her to go. But if someone wants to buy it, I really don't want to give it to someone who's gonna mistreat the car, like bashing and drifting, like smashing the shit out of it, because they can abuse it, don't take me wrong, but not bashing the car against others, because it's hell of a car, and it's red as fuck. Let me tell you, I'm not shitting you. So clean S14 200X chassis, it's red as fuck these days. So I would rather someone to appreciate what it is. You may not be 100% happy with the engine setup, or for something else, okay, change it if you want to, but do appreciate the chassis, what it is. I definitely put my hard sweat and loads of money to build this. I just really don't want to get wasted. And I know when I talk about it, maybe it doesn't seem like, but the fact that it took me about 7-8 years to actually make a decision to sell it, it should mean something, so yeah, peace and love. So yeah, she's for sale, and I'm gonna keep it for sale maybe for 3-4 weeks, and then if it doesn't sell in the time to single buyer, then I guess we're gonna put it on a raffle, and it will be what it has to be. We see. I'm not sure what's the best way anyway, so I'm trying both of them and see how it goes, and that's it. But if you're thinking to come over and kick the tires, no, don't bother. Don't bother. Wasting time. All right, I see you soon in the next video, which I'm trying to make loads of them, but I'm really busy, so it's time to edit it. See you soon. Have fun.